Whoa.
There's Donna.
Yeah. First I thought that was you, but it's not. With that big head of hair. Yeah, because they owned a boa constrictor. God, 1980. Oh, yeah. I don't even know when I started at the library. It doesn't matter. You don't need to know that kind of stuff.
You don't?
I can't remember.
I remember I started...
It's been 25.
December 27th, 1987. It's my dad's birthday, the year my mom died, so I always remembered that combination.
Yeah, because...
Yeah, it's the bench. I picked out this fabric and remade it in the bench that was dedicated to Barb that's in the foyer. I had a upholsterer do that.
Does it, and she did these cushions too, though, I think.
Yeah, she did these.
Rita did these.
Mm-hmm, she did. They're holding up pretty well.
I know they are.
Dirty.
It's rough in here in the kids' room.
Yeah.
I'm Susan Johns, and I have worked at the library about 25 years, and I've really enjoyed it. It's been a great job. Have loved it, absolutely loved it. And I just retired last week, so I am finished now, and now I get to play in the library and get books and all that kind of stuff. So that's just my introduction.
Okay. So I'm Diane Thorn, and I started working for the library as a public service assistant in Linden in 1987. And then I eventually worked in Everson as an assistant and became a manager at the Everson branch and worked here until 2005. So I worked with Barbara Skinner, who was the manager of Everson for many, many years, and she, in my memory, was really responsible for building a great community library here in Everson. She, when you walked in the door, the first time I came in this library, I was with my two daughters, Marie and Sarah, and Barbara saw us for the first time and acted like we were her long-lost niece and, grandchildren. And that's how she was with every single person that walked in here. Mm-hmm. And so I had it really good because the people have always loved this library, like they do all the libraries, and it was just a great place to work in so many ways. I really enjoyed being involved with the children, watching them learn how to read, and I love the old people coming in the library too. And my time as manager, I came in and started managing in 1997, I think, and it was right at the end of a major expansion of the building. And so I was really lucky because I kind of got to do the finished work of that project, and the building, needed that room because it's always been such a busy place and such a great community gathering spot. So that's a little bit of my story.
Yeah.
My name is Terry Bumford, and I worked for the library for 18 years. I was a delivery driver, and so I went to all the libraries, and the volume of materials moving around shifted radically during my time with WCLS.
So what do you mean by that?
I mean, we used to move around nothing compared to what we move around today. We used vans, we used paper boxes. The whole delivery system was so different. The branches loved it because they used to get their holds already sorted for them. But this is where my daughter used to come to the library. And I've known these guys for a long time. And I would see them every day, or almost every day, 5 days a week. The library was a great job for me and a great community of people. And I still have a lot of friends that worked here and are still working here. It is a special place to get a job at.
Yeah. Now, I heard you telling a story earlier
Oh. Oh, these guys have better stories because the public is much more.
Wow. So you drove.
I drove. We used to just have. We used to have a car that we did the deliveries in.
Not a
And then we
two-ton
had a
step
small van. Then we had a bigger van, and then we went to the box truck with the lift gate on it, and revamped the whole system, the way what the materials were moved in, how the all of it, because Horizon went. It stopped being. It went web based, and then everything changed in the system. And people could order things much easier. Yeah, and I drove a box van for the first one we had. It had dually wheels on the back, and the wheel came off in Sumas after I made the delivery. And I only noticed it because I looked in the mirror and I saw it come flying out. But I made it back to CS, and we got that fixed.
That's a good
Did you
thing.
have to stop and?
Oh,
Did
yeah.
you put the tire on?
No, the lugs
had
came.
dualies?
The lugs came loose, and it just It could have totally caused an accident or hurt somebody. And it was right by the post office in Sumas, and it was a super loud truck, so I couldn't hear anything.
Wow.
That was, I guess,
Good thing
that
you weren't
and
going
driving in
55.
the winter time. Trying to do deliveries in the winter used to be pretty challenging, but I guess I could think of some. Give me a minute.
I'll fill in a little bit more about. I
Yeah.
started. I can't recall the exact year I started, but it was not too far behind Diane.
Yeah, I would guess it was probably 1990, 91.
Yeah. And I came first in as a clerk, which meant I would count the money and do other things. I wasn't a public service assistant, we call PSA. But after several years, I was moved into that position, and I absolutely love the job. You can't beat helping people get what they need. And to me, that's what the library was about. And with the community we have in this area, it was just felt like one big family. Kids were here all the time. I did a lot of youth programs. I did a lot of summer reading presentations throughout the system for many, many years. I actually have a recording that I took, and I rewrote the words to Swinging on a Star, and it's all based about going to the library and getting books. And I actually had a slideshow with it, which I'm unable to locate the slides right now, so I'm still looking for them. I did look to see if that would be an issue with the system, but that's up to them if there's a problem with the song, because it's Swinging on a Star, and that's a very infamous song, as
Sure.
we know.
No copyright issue.
It's from 1949.
I looked it up. Yes,
There you go.
I was
ours.
hoping it would be passed.
Is it in the
It's to-
public domain yet?
I looked it up, but I did find that libraries are a public entity, and it's possible that the administration may be able to feel that that is not a risk to them
Sure.
as far as being able to use that.
Well, we could call it parody. Parody is
And
allowable under the copyright
we can
law.
play
Oh.
the disc, and I had
Maybe you could sing a little right now.
No, you do not. I have it
Want to think about
recorded.
that, Sue?
I was very good friends with musicians, and this is a tape that I had the musician make, and I took it on the summer reading route when we were getting ready for summer reading, and I went to the schools, and I had the musician record it, and he did a beautiful job, and that's what that is. So you can.
Were you part of this year? Do you remember that year, 1998?
I do not. But
The reader's license.
it's the reader's license.
It
Yes.
doesn't expire.
Yeah,
That's her daughter.
That's her daughter.
Oh man. Let's see if I can get this in.
Well, that's a good segue into our little presentation at the Everson Elementary School. with the
Oh,
school
yeah,
choir.
you guys do.
Oh,
Do you want to
yes.
tell that story?
We can tell it together.
I blacked it out. I don't remember it.
Yes. We did a lot of summer reading presentations. Every year we'd go to the schools and we would talk about books and talk about the summer reading program. And I was very active in that throughout my career. And so we went to
What was the theme that year? Do you remember? Or the basic?
Oh, it was, yeah, I've got the pictures right here. Okay, we have some pictures for this, and it was called Explore Other Worlds, and you can look at these later. But me and my husband made this big giant book, and inside of it, it had what you do to join the summer reading club, and the outside had little sayings that I made up that said how great being part of the summer reading club is. And I did that for quite a few years. But we were doing this presentation, and there were three of us, Diane and Ellen. And we liked the idea of going behind the book, and it says Explore Other Worlds, and then so we had a little machine that could make smoke so that you could feel like you were taking off to explore other worlds. And what happened?
And this was a brand new school.
This was
they had just finished.
Yes.
For the the Nooksack School District.
Yes. And so we were doing our gig, and you stepped behind the book, which was this book, and what happened is it set off the fire alarms
in the whole building.
In the entire.
And they had to evacuate the school.
Yes.
So our summer reading club presentation had a real impact. I don't think they ever forgot.
Yeah, I think there was never any danger because the smoke was not fire-based.
It was very benign.
But it was inevitable that the sirens should go off to just make sure everybody was safe. And it was somewhat embarrassing, but we all came back in and we concluded our we kept up with our presentations. But I think everybody the kids seemed to like it pretty good. I'm sure they
remembered it. In those years, we didn't have nearly as many administrative staff that were kind of in charge of these little aspects of the library system. People really wore a lot of different hats. Like Susan wore the hat of, being an assistant in Everson and a substitute all over the county.
Yeah, I subbed at all the libraries.
But she also was very active in designing the summer reading programs or, whatever project she worked on. So, that was really our only connection with the schools to introduce the theme of what that summer's reading program was going to be. And so, we didn't have other people. We just went and did it, and that's how we tried to connect with the kids in the libraries. Yeah.
And we actually did do connections because we went to quite a few schools, and the teachers would be involved with the kids while we were doing the presentations. And we really did work hard to make sure it was an engaging program that really wanted to get the kids into the libraries in the summer to maintain their reading levels. And that was a big part of that promotional aspect to the library, and each branch did its own presentation at the area they were in, where their library branch was located. And they didn't do it at the libraries, they went to the schools. And one year I think I went to, I can't even recall how many schools I went to, but it was really very far spread to make sure that kids were maintaining that level of competency in their reading. So for me, the library is nothing but one of the best issues for people to support through their taxes, because it gives everybody the opportunity. They can come into any library and we will find for them what they are seeking for. And if we can't find it, we will get to other people in CS who have greater informational skills. And it would really, there was nothing like serving the public and being complete with it. And they were always very, 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 very grateful.
Yeah.
So to me, the library is one of our foundations of literacy and intelligence and learning in our country, if not the world. And I can't think of anything better to have done than to be part of this structure that allows people to learn and grow. And whether you agree with it or not, it didn't matter. You were there to support them in whatever their endeavor was. And to me, that was the most important thing.
And it bridges a lot of gaps. I remember a little story that just came to mind one day. Susan and I were working together, and we had just opened up not too long before, and we always put the flag out every day. And Susan had put the flag up, and I'm kind of standing at the front counter up there, and this very, very angry man comes stomping in the door, and he's like cursing and, what kind of disrespect do you have for our flag and
I
country?
had put it upside down.
She accidentally put it upside down,
and I didn't catch it because I was in a hurry.
And it, the fire was directed at me because I was the person at the counter that he came to. But, by the time all was said and done, he understood. He was calmed down. He wasn't mad anymore. And, just over and over again, we've had that kind of wonderful interaction with people where, there may be some sort of a disagreement because not everyone believes in having access to everything for everyone. But, people are just, they see the good of this library. They see the good of it in our society, and one way or another we usually worked it out. But, it's just, it was always an interesting challenge, when we'd have that kind of situation too, where, how do you offer this information for someone that doesn't agree with it, but they still want that information. So it's just a great blending for everyone.
I think one of the ways, I had a parent that was very upset because children were allowed to take out the material, and we never, it wasn't our job to determine that, it was the parent's job. And I did have one parent get rather upset, and we had, you get into really good, deeper discussions for them, not to try to interfere with what their children want to do, but it's their job as a parent, and we need to respect that. And I think that discussion with the gentleman, it just calmed him down and made him see, because I said, you want us to be the ones to choose the material for your children, and of course nobody does. And I think being able to explain to people, we're not here to undermine you, we're here to support you.